There's that man again.
So I don't really do perfect 10 videos. Not really sure if I believe there are many fragrances that would be considered a perfect 10 in my eyes, but if I'm going to do one, I'm going to do it my way. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Teddy Files. I'm your resident sommelier, Mr. Dier's Teddy. And today we're talking about 10 out of 10 fragrances. Fragrances that I believe that are perfect, but here's a twist. Perfect for the price that you can get it for. Because I personally don't believe there are too many fragrances that I would say that are just perfect all around, because it's almost impossible to have something like that. Man, maybe perfect to me, but just that's the only thing that I could go off of. But for the price, these I believe are perfect for what you can get them for. And the first one that I had to bring up is the one that I believe that for the price you can get it for, it's a steal and it's definitely perfect, and that would be CK Shock from Calvin Klein. Now, if you are interested in getting into back to tobacco fragrances, this is the one that you might want to start with, because it is the easiest tobacco fragrance, in my opinion, to wear if you're just getting into trying to wear fragrances that are within that tobacco realm, because it gives you the tobacco without being too pungent, too strong, anything like that, not leafy green or any of that stuff. It's beautiful with this fragrance because of the fact that there are a lot of aromatics in here that actually help round out the tobacco, with also having some sweet notes. Some of those notes that I'll give to you now are top notes of lavender, clementine, and cucumber. Middle notes of cardamom, pepper, basil, and osmanthus. And base notes of tobacco, amber, patchouli, woodsy notes, and musk. And what you get for what you can get for the price you can get this for, the longevity is pretty cool. You get about 6 hours or so. The sillage is absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, if you're trying to get into the note of tobacco, this is where you might want to start with. And for me, for the price that you can get it for, it is a perfect 10. And that would be Calvin Klein CK Shock. So the next fragrance that I want to feature is one that, in my opinion, for the price that you can get it for, absolute 10 out of 10. And that would be Bentley's for men. Or Bentley for men, not Bentley's. Oh, wow, but that's on the back of that. But this here, I think I just featured this in the last video I did, and that'll let you know that I truly do think that this, in my opinion, for the price that you can get it for, is an absolute masterpiece. Masculine, sweet, somewhat fougere fragrance. Absolutely magnificent. This fragrance to me may not be suited for younger guys. Not sure what your fragrance taste is. You can only go by what you like, and if you like things that have almost a buttery sweet type of feel to it, but with a little bit of sharpness and some leather, things of that nature, this might be right up your alley, guys. Your notes in this one, top notes are bay leaf, black pepper, and bergamot. Middle notes are rum, cinnamon, woodsy notes, and clary sage. Base notes are leather, benzoin, patchouli, and cedar. So the extreme one probably could have gone here. The intense, I'm sorry, not extreme, but intense, could have probably gone here. But for a lot of people, that one is just a little bit too much. I believe that this one scratches the itch perfectly, especially within the price range. I believe that one's a slight tick more than this one. But for me, the smoothness and the somewhat sensual nature of this one, it's just a little bit better for me. And especially with what I'm talking about, if I'm saying 10 out of 10, this to me, for what you can get it for, about $30 to $35, sillage is amazing, longevity is amazing, over 8 hours every time I've worn it. Bentley for men, definitely a 10 out of 10. So the next fragrance that I want to talk to you guys about is one that if you are into gourmand fragrances and also into saving some money while you wear said gourmand fragrance, then this, in my opinion, is definitely a 10 out of 10, and that would be Lattafa's Khamrah Qahwa. The coffee one, the coffee fragrance. Now, I don't have the Dukan one. I will be getting that very soon, so I can't speak on that. So I know people may want to put it in the conversation box, things of that nature. It's absolutely fine. We can talk about that, but I can't say too much about it because I've never smelled it. So I will be getting it in soon, but I do have the original and I do have this one. And I will have to say, I do like this one better. Number one, because of the coffee. And I'm a big fan of coffee, big fan of tobacco fragrances, things of that nature. But this one here, if you are not a fan of sweet fragrances, do not get this. This will not be a 10 out of 10 for you. This is a over-the-top sweet fragrance, in my opinion, in many instances. But as the dry down starts to come in, you start get some of the earthiness from coffee and benzoin and musk and things of that nature, because there are not too many breaks from the sweetness of this fragrance. I'll give you the notes. Your top notes are cinnamon, cardamom, and ginger. Your base notes are praline, candied fruits, and white flower. Your base notes are vanilla, coffee, tonka bean, benzoin, and musk. So for the most part, what you're getting out of this fragrance, it's a lot of sweetness, but the coffeeness the coffee balances it out a little bit. Some of that musk that comes in at the end does it as well, but for the most part, from beginning to end, you are going to have a sweet fragrance on you. And from what I've seen by wearing it, it is a compliment magnet. I have not one time worn this fragrance and anybody said that I didn't smell good, or for the most part, they ask about it. The longevity is absolutely phenomenal. And of course, the sillage kind of kicks ass a little bit, man. This one does its thing. So for me, yeah, like I said, I don't have the new one, but for the ones that I have, this to me is the perfect 10. That would be Lattafa Khamrah Qahwa. So the fragrances that I've featured before are the ones that are in the lower tier price range, like under $50, and some are even under $20, that are a little bit more affordable. These ones that I'm going to ready to talk about now are $50 and above. So the quality of the oils and things of that get better. The longevity gets a little bit better as well. And of course, you're paying for some of the names as well. So the first fragrance that I want to talk about is one that, in my opinion, is definitely, for the price you can get it at, an absolute masterpiece. And that would be Valentino Uomo 2021. So I say 2021 because the 2014 version, that is not the version that I have here, because that one featured chocolate and other sweet notes, things of that nature. That's not what's in this one. But what this one is, to me, is very masculine, somewhat powdery, earthy fragrance that is very classy. Very classy. I mean, it really comes off at the top a little bit bright, but it still has a fougere feel to it. It's probably coming from that black pepper, where the spiciness is coming from this fragrance. But for the most part, what you get is that beautiful, powdery, somewhat creamy iris in this fragrance. Some of your fragrance notes, top notes are bergamot, lemon. Your middle notes are iris and vetiver, and your base notes are cardamom and black pepper. So this here, it is not the 2014 one, but what this one does, it does so well. And especially for the price range, I believe I got this for about $50 to $65. You may be able to get it a little bit cheaper. Well, this one here was a little bit cheaper. If you want to get the full presentation, you're probably going to pay $50, $60, maybe $70. I think I got this one for maybe about 50 to 44, something like that. It's 1.7 ounce bottle. Longevity is about 6 hours. Sillage is absolutely phenomenal. It's not one of those reach around the corner fragrances, but it's one of those when you walk by, you'll walk by wind will catch quite a few noses. So for me, yes, I absolutely love the 2014 version, but this one does its thing in its own different way, and that would be Valentino Uomo 2021. So the next fragrance that I got coming up is one that I had said in a video not too long ago that I could see this one becoming one of those top tier fragrances for this time of year. And now that the weather has started to break and get a little bit cooler, I've worn it a few times and it hasn't been cool that long. And like I said, I wore it a few times. So for me, for the price you can get it at, definitely 10 out of 10. And that would be Coach for Men EDP. So this one, ultra masculine. Just straight up and down a man's fragrance. This one here, it puts you in the mindset of Dior Sauvage Elixir, but it's not exactly that. It kind of almost has a roundabout resemblance to it, maybe about 60 to 70% or so, but it's still one that does its own thing. It's not quite as nuclear as that one, but it lasts a pretty good amount of time. Some of your fragrance notes on this one is cardamom, bergamot. Your middle notes are cedarwood and geranium. Your base notes are Saffiano leather and vetiver. And this fragrance is earthy, it's woodsy, it's manly. It has a hint of sweetness in it, but not sweet to the point to where it is anywhere near featured in this fragrance. This is a masculine, manly fragrance. And if you are not one of those types of people that likes a uber masculine fragrance, this is not for you. Not. But if you are the type of guy that wants to be able to command the room without actually drowning out the room, this is one that you can definitely do that with, and that would be Coach for Men EDP. So the next fragrance that I got coming up, once again, for the price that you can get it at, definitely 10 out of 10 fragrance. I think I may have just snuck it in the camera a little bit, but that would be Ralph's Club Elixir. So this one to me is the elixir that doesn't get talked about enough. Everybody has an elixir. I think everything is elixing all over the damn place. And you even have clones that are coming out with elixirs, clone brands, things of that nature. So I believe this one has been overlooked, and it should not be, because for the price you can get this one at, this is absolutely phenomenal. Ralph Lauren did his thing when they did this one. Some of the notes in this one are top notes of cardamom, green mandarin, and grapefruit. Middle notes of orris, lavender, sage, and geranium. Base notes of leather, olibanum, patchouli, and balsam fir. So once again, in my opinion, definitely top tier manly fragrance. Not very playful. There's a lot of different situations that you could wear this in. I believe it's not too strong for you to not be able to wear it to work. I believe the dry down is absolutely phenomenal. And I think for those types of environments, it would work very well as long as you don't overspray. I think this is something that you could wear to a party. I think this is something that you can wear running any situation that you think it might fit in. In my opinion, this would definitely fit in that. And as far as the longevity, I've always gotten 8 hours out of this one. The sillage is absolutely phenomenal. It's very woodsy, very woodsy. Like I said, very woodsy. It has a little bit of creaminess that comes from that orris, but it's a really woodsy, manly fragrance. And that's exactly why I love it. And that's why I give it a 10 out of 10. And that would be Ralph's Club Elixir by Ralph Lauren. So these next few fragrances are the ones that I'm featuring when you want to spend just a little bit more money than the mid-tier ones that I just featured. This is when you go above the $100 price point and you start getting into the $150 to $200 price points and all the way above that. And for some people, no fragrance may not be worth that much. But for some of the rest of us who are insane and we love to experiment and explore and find different scents and smells and all of that type of stuff, this, in my opinion, for the price point that I got it at, it's definitely a perfect 10, and that would be Naughton & Wilson's Arezzo. So this fragrance right here, first of all, let's show you the atomizer. They didn't skimp out. Absolutely phenomenal. This is a manly gourmand. Manly gourmand. And when I tell you the fragrance notes, you'll understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. But this is a gourmand fragrance for just a studious man. A man that is well groomed, well defined, well refined, and definitely is about his business. Some of your fragrance notes in this one, you got your top notes of mandarin and bergamot, your middle notes of brandy, spices, plum, orris, and labdanum, and your base notes of tobacco, incense, patchouli, Cambodian oud, musk, and ambergris. Now, some people may not consider this a gourmand fragrance, but you put mandarin, orange, bergamot, brandy, and plum in anything, may have a little bit of a gourmand feature to it, but it is not an overly gourmand edible fragrance. Once again, this is a very masculine, manly fragrance that happens to have some gourmand elements. And the tobacco in this is the star of the show. Number one, because it's not an overly smoky, insane, crazy tobacco. The incense, I believe, is what gives it somewhat of the smokiness to it. But this fragrance right here, when you hit that musk and that patchouli and the tobacco combination at the back with the smokiness from the incense and still some of the sweetness coming out of that brandy, man, Picasso. This one right here is absolutely phenomenal. The longevity for me has been over 8 hours. The sillage has been out of this world, and I've gotten quite a few compliments already. So yeah, this is probably one I'm going to be wearing again this week. And if you want to spend a little bit more money, I believe I paid somewhere upwards about $230 or something like that for it. If you want to spend a little bit more money, this is definitely one that you might want to get in your collection. And once again, I always say this in any of these videos, sample, guys. If you can get a sample, go to the Naughton & Wilson website. I will put it up here so you guys can try to get a sample if you want to. And I believe there's Scent Split and Scent X, I believe, that you can also get samples as well. So guys, try to get a sample first, see if it's something that you might like. And if you like it, hey, you got yourself a winner here, and that would be Arezzo from Naughton & Wilson. So the next fragrance that I got coming up, in my opinion, is definitely 10 out of 10. If I could give it a higher score, I would. And for me, it is the absolute perfect fragrance. Number one, because I'm a fan of tobacco, and this is a tobacco forward fragrance. That would be Houbigant Tabac Nomade. So this one here, man, if you are a tobacco fan, if tobacco is your fragrance note, when you want to step it up from going to CK Shock and you want to get all the way up to that top tier, this is the one that you get, man. This right here is the fragrance that you get. I'm telling you guys, the beautiful earthiness, sweetness, sexiness of this tobacco, and then coming in with the powdery tonka bean and vanilla, and then you get some of the just that raw animalic nature of that leather. I think I didn't give you all the fragrance notes, but I'll give it to you from the top. Top notes of spices, rose and bergamot. Middle notes of tobacco leaf, tonka bean, and saffron. Base notes of vanilla and leather. This fragrance right here, man, look, like I said, phenomenal. And I don't know if they're spectacular, magnificent, any of the names I could give it. This actually fits that. This, to me, is one of the absolute best tobacco fragrances I've ever smelled, especially coming off of my skin. The longevity is ridiculous. Over 8 hours. Sillage is phenomenal. Scent bubble is just out of this world. This here, when you want to spend a little bit more, I think I spent about $245 or something like that. You want to spend just a little bit more money to treat yourself. This is, if you are a tobacco fan, the one you want to treat yourself with, guys. And that would be Tabac Nomade by Houbigant. So the last fragrance that I came up with, I had to choose between three. There were three fragrances that I thought fit this criteria, but I could only do one. And as I started to really go through the three fragrances, this was the one that came out on top as I started measuring them up against one another. And that doesn't mean that this is better than any of the other three. It was just the one, in my opinion, that fit this video today, and that would be Bond No. 9's New Haarlem. So going into the season we're going into, and thinking of a beautiful, warm, cozy morning, what is better on a beautiful, warm, cozy morning than pancakes and coffee? Well, if you don't have time to cook that, you may have time to smell like it, because this one here, first of all, it opens up this beautiful soapy lavender. But as you get into the dry down, you get to the creaminess, and you started getting into the rawness of the cedar. That roasted coffee smell comes out. This, to me, for the price that they're charging for it, absolutely worth every penny. This was a birthday fragrance. This is one that I treated myself to for my birthday. And every single year on my birthday, I say happy birthday to me, because this is one my fragrance of choice. This is the one I wear on my birthday. Some of your fragrance notes are lavender, bergamot, and green leaves. Your middle notes are coffee and cedar. Your base notes are vanilla, patchouli, tonka bean, and amber. And somehow that amber, tonka bean, and vanilla combination, when you mix it together with that coffee and a little bit of the brightness from the bergamot, somehow it smells like pancakes and coffee. Somehow this fragrance smells like breakfast. And truth be told, somebody might be walking around right now, I don't smell like no damn breakfast. Okay, don't. But every time I've ever worn it, I've gotten quite a few compliments. And so you can take it or leave it. I don't know, if you may not wear fragrances for compliments. I know I don't. I wear them because I like them. But getting a compliment is never a bad thing, in my opinion. And so the sillage on this one is absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, it draws people in. Sometimes people float up looking like Pepe Le Pew, like they're floating after you fellas. You know what I'm saying? So this one right here is definitely 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10. And if you can get your hands on it, guys, I would say you'll be pleasantly surprised. And that would be on No. 9's New Haarlem. Well, everyone, that is my time. Yes, this video took a little bit longer than normal, because I feel like if you're going to describe fragrances that you consider 10 out of 10, you should probably take your time so that you can really break things down, so that people can understand what you're talking about when you're saying something is a 10 out of 10 fragrance. So that's the only reason that it took this long, guys. But because of the fact that I want to bring you guys quality content, I want to make sure that I give you everything that you could possibly need. So whenever you decide that you want to buy and purchase some of these fragrances, you have as much information as possible. But once again, make sure you guys go down in the description box and get to the sample sites, so that you guys can sample. Don't just blind buy, especially these expensive ones. Don't just blind buy. Get a sample, see if it's something up your alley, and go ahead and pull the trigger on that purchase and come back and thank me later. And make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the video because it helps the channel to grow. Make sure you hit the bell icon so that you get notified each and every time I upload a video or I go live, because my name is Mr. Dier's Teddy, your fragrance sommelier. And over here we don't do stink, so please do not be a stink ass. Have a good one.